Capricorn rising. How you doing, Capricorn? This is your reading for the Sagittarius new moon that happened today, the 1st of December. Apologies for the delay in getting this series out, but I do work with 6-month cycles. So what comes through in this reading is serving you over the next 6 months to the Sagittarius full moon. So you're not missing out on any of the messages or any of the energy transfer. Hello and welcome. My name's Chloe. I work with card divination, astrology, and as you just heard, and as you'll see shortly, I channel multi-dimensional energies through my body that comes out in both vocal light language, which you just heard, and you'll see my hands doing things, and that is a physical form of light language. All of this is bringing in healing, attunement, and activation codes to the messages that come through in these readings. So, I read for the rising signs. So for those of you who don't have Capricorn in the first house in your natal chart, look to the house that it does fall in. Look to the themes of that house, and you want to apply those themes along with all the other meaning in Capricorn, so your sun, moon, whatever's going on. You want to apply all that to the messages that come through, because it will be as if that Capricorn energy has now energetically moved to the first house. So the astrology for the rising sign will still link in. You just got to add on your own natal chart meaning on top of it. As always, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. So I'm going to break down where this is happening for Capricorn rising, give you some points and clues of what kind of intentions would be good to set. Obviously, always do what's right for you. Then I'm going to break down what's going on with the cards, and then I'm going to launch into the astrology as I shuffle. So Capricorn rising, this is happening in your 12th house, your hidden house, your house of mysteries, things that go on behind the scenes, right? This is, it's a bit of a difficult house. I love it, but it is difficult. There's no getting around it because it's the unconscious spaces. And in those unconscious spaces, we have trauma responses and limiting beliefs. And so the themes of the 12th can very much be about mental health, anxiety, depression, can also be about grief and loss and isolation, because it is kind of a withdrawal energy. And so, you know, all of that good stuff, but underneath all of it is the magic of your soul, like your powerhouse, how your soul operates from a place of magic, which is fire, right? Which is Sagittarius. So even though you're a Capricorn energy, which is very different in the way that you embody yourself, underneath all of that is the very vibrant, movable fire that is Sagittarius. Oh, I like that. That sounded nice. So intentions to set around this new moon. And as I said, it's already happened. So, but I do find you can still tap into the frequency and still set those intentions, even though it's after the event. So intentions that would be really good. 1, to elevate your consciousness and your awareness to the unconscious realms, to integrate them, to elevate your connection to the magic of your soul, to help heal any grief that you may be going through, any difficulties in terms of anxiety and depression, to help integrate all of that and sort of move through that. To, you know, because you've got a lot of stuff in Sagittarius. Mercury's retrograding there, which I'm going to get onto. The sun is there. Venus has moved through there. So there's a real focal point at the moment of you going into the underworld, right? You're going into those hidden places, and it can mean that you are perhaps spending a little more time in that energy, a little more time withdrawn. And so you can set an intention to really amplify that energy in a way that serves you, right? That sense of meditation, that sense of stillness within yourself, and really work with that energy over the next 6 months. That you can set intentions around unconscious responses that are no longer serving you, asking the sun and the moon to reveal these to you, reveal how to work with them and get in alignment. You've got fresh new energy coming in with this house, and so it really is a new new stage in the way that you work with the unseen realms. It's a very magical house, as well as the unseen realms of yourself. To really open yourself up to shift and change with this mutable energy that we've got going on. So those are the kind of intentions you can set. So let me start shuffling and tell you what's going on with the cards. So there's going to be 3 main piles along the selenite. The first pile is, what is the most integrated and expansive intention of this new moon cycle for you, right? What's the vibe? What's the vibe that is getting downloaded that is then going to unfold over the next 6 months? So that the first pile is, what's the vibe? And the 7 of Swords just winked at me, and that's definitely about moving away from thought processes around conflict. We'll see if that wants to come out again. Pile 2 is going to be the challenge and how to work with it, right? So there's a lot of astrological things going on that is kind of, it's linked into this moon, as well as the journey that we've been on for a while now of stepping into a more integrated and expansive frequency, right? Our collective consciousness is gradually drip fed to evolve and grow. And so the more that we're expanding into this new space, expanding into the magical reality as truth, there's just a lot of core wounds that are coming to the surface in order to be released. And this has been coming through in the oracle readings for a while, of because we're kind of moving into a stronger position, we're no longer getting knocked off our perch in the same way, that this means that there are going to be challenges that have a bit more weight to them that we may have been quite scared of in the past, but now it's not necessarily that we're breezing through them, but I do get this clear energy of being able to see the wisdom in what's going on and being able to harness that energy to transform. There's also other astrology which I'll get to, of why there's some bigger challenges showing up with this particular lunation cycle. Pile 3 is how to work with pile 1, right? What to focus on, how to direct your energy that will support this download. Woo! Okay, that's fascinating. You've got a card that, who did it come up for? It came up in Pisces reading as well. Well, I'll link there, so there may be something to do with that energy of Pisces for you. Saturn is squaring this moon. I'll get to that in Pisces, so there might be something connected to that Pisces reading that you need to hear. I rarely say that. Yeah, so how to work with that energy, how to amplify it. I'm then going to pull a card. I'll bring words. I'll bring the card from the bottom of the deck as a sort of the underlying theme of this moon, and then I'm going to be pulling some cards on the Mercury retrograde because it's happening in the sign of Sagittarius, and this Mercury retrograde is very much linked into the lunation cycle we're now in, up to the Gemini full moon, when it will go direct 12 hours after the exact full moon. So I'm going to pull some cards on that, and then I'm going to pull one card from 3 different oracle decks that sum up the reading and sometimes bring in things that may have not come through in either of the astrology or the tarot. So Capricorn, let's get into this astrology. So all the fire signs are being activated with this new moon. It's forming a grand fire trine by aspect, not just by sign, right? So we have Mars over in Leo and the North Node over in Aries. So all the fire are working together, coming into an alignment, and fire is our instinct, right? It's not the thought, it's not the emotion, it's not the sensation, it's the doing, it's the go, it's the instinct. Very independent, very transformative, very sort of maverick energy, that fire energy. And so we've got this really strong alignment of activating and elevating our instincts. And what I really like about this is it's following on from loads of grand water trines that we've had since, I think, the end of the summer, up to this point. where we've been doing some deep healing on our emotional body, right? A coming together, a union of it, an elevation of the memory that we store in our water that's helping us move through this world in more flow. So we had loads of those over the last couple of months. And then we had the Taurus full moon, which was that moon, oh my God, the power of that moon. I think that was the strongest moon this year. It was conjunct Uranus. And this was about liberating things in the head that have blocked us from our physical body feeling safe and secure and abundant to create on a personal level in this incarnation, right? And so it was really doing a nervous system a reset. And so we had the emotional healing, the body feeling safe and wanting to create in the world. And now our instincts are getting an alignment with all of that. Itu fala dishana, ishini mo itinima, ela dianima, utu fala. Woohoo! All right. Diala dishinima, itu ela disheni, alima do etianima tu fala dishani muchani. Right, so that's the overall energy of all this fire. So let's get into the weeds of where this is happening for you. It's happening in all your magical houses, right? All the houses are magical, but like the three that I'm going to talk about, they're the predominant big energy, because one, it's the magic of your soul in the 12th. We have the North Node in Aries in your foundational house of the 4th, right? This is your foundations, your root system, your ancestors, both blood and soul lineage, and that's where a lot of the magic comes from, also from your roots. Your parental figures, the roof over your head, and the things that you do in private. And then Mars over in the 8th house. And this is about the outside world's resources, right? And your interaction with them. And one of those things, it's a very psychic house of your relationship dynamic and the resources of source. So this is your like one of your core elements of magic is fire. So Mars in the 8th. As I said, it's the outside world's resources, right? Mars represents our motivation, our drive, our passion. You may have noticed in the lead up to this new moon that might have had a little bit of a dampener in order to be rebooted. Ito fala with this new moon. You may have noticed a lot of unconscious responses in regards to the actions that you're taking. As well, especially linked into relationship dynamics and scarcity mindsets, because, as I said, the 8th house is the outside world's resources and your interaction with it. So this can be mortgages, loans, debt that's owed to you, debt that you owe, bonuses, commissions, and inheritance, both 3D and cosmic inheritance, because it's dealing with like the resources or more one-off chunks of money. And with that, it's also about relationship dynamics, because it's the interaction between you and anything other than yourself, right? The giving and the receiving, the exchange. So time, money, energy, ideas, intimacy. And as I said, we can have scarcity complexes here, right? Of not thinking we're getting the resources that we need from the outside world, of codependency or taking too much or giving too much in relationships where there's just this struggle. And so this is all coming to a head with Mars in terms of your instinctive responses. Now, what's been coming through with all the readings is there's a two-pronged effect with Mars, right? Is one, your instincts around how you operate in the world, go about in the world, how you're perceiving the world, engaging with the resources of the world in relationships, your acts of service, that kind of thing, are going to be more in alignment with the magic of your soul. And not necessarily those unconscious responses, those love languages that we learn from our parental figures that go into the unconscious in the 12th from the 4th, and then show up in every relationship that we have predominantly. I mean, not for everybody, but there's always threads, isn't there? Because it's all downloaded and imprinted. Your instincts are going to be aligned more in where you're headed and not where you've come from, as well as just watching your actions is going to be really helpful. Be in observer mode. to see, oh, that was an instinctive action that I took that's just recreating a distorted love language. And then you're going to be able to do the inner work to sort of navigate through that and untangle that. So it's really healthy energy that I've been feeling come through with this moon. And then all of this is in alignment with the North Node. And the North Node is in your fourth house. It's your striving for a new understanding of what does your foundations mean to you. That can be both figurative, as in like your inner foundations, as well as the literal, you know, bricks and mortar that you live in. Like, how do you look at safety? How do you look at security and this feeling of home? What does that mean to you? And really striving into new territory and more sense of independence, right? And autonomy when it comes to that. As well as expanding into your integration of the ancestors, both blood and soul lineage, of the wounds there and the wisdom. Doing some great work with that through your individual experience. This can also, as I said, highlight and integrate and work with, you know, the love languages that we've learned, as I said, not just from parental figures, which also show up in the fourth, but also the things from the ancestors, and really the strength of your inner soul frequency from the 12s, like sort of reorientating back to that rather than the distortions. This can be, as I said, like those love languages, navigating through them, elevating them, and just finding, I don't know, that you're just being guided by your higher self at a stronger level, right? That's sort of the underlying energy. The instincts are getting aligned to that, which is going to mean that your foundations are getting stronger, your root system is getting stronger, because you're more confident within yourself, because there's less chaos and clutter going on in the unconscious realms. And Mars is making sure that you're more in alignment with healthier relationship dynamics. That is meaning that those foundations feel a lot stronger, right? So there's quite a lot of power here. So we have all that fire. Now, who rules Sagittarius? Because whatever's going on with the ruler is influencing the moon. And Jupiter rules Sagittarius, as I'm sure you're aware. And Jupiter is over in Gemini, opposite Sagittarius. And this is in your 6th house. And this is all about the adult in the room. This is about work, how you work, physical health, routines, co-workers, and therefore collaboration, pets, and therefore acts of service. It can be quite a difficult house to access, but the more you understand how you work, right, which is the Gemini frequency, you have the capacity to do lots of different things all at once, and that be a good thing rather than an overwhelm. It's just awareness and acceptance of, oh, you might not get all the tasks done in linear order. Your ideas might get distracted and go elsewhere, but that is all taking you to where you need to go. And the more that we sort of accept that, rather than it, you know, it doesn't always, you know, that sort of old school mindset around work, right? Of, you know, how am I trying to explain this? Anyway, that Gemini energy is way out of that, right? It's there's a fluidity, there's a curiosity, there's an openness, there's a playfulness, and there's also a lot going on, right? So, and that's sort of, how do I not get lost in the source with all of that? How do I find that focus? Now, Jupiter is there. We're getting 2 cards from the bottom because it was split as I was doing that. What was I going to say? Yeah, so Jupiter's there. Jupiter's been there for a while. If you've not caught the Jupiter and Gemini transit series, it's in its own playlist in Jupiter. Jupiter's got its own playlist. We're midway through about with that. And it's not going to happen again for another 12 years. So you've been really reassessing and expanding into your understanding of how you work, right? How you take care of yourself, how you work together with others, right? It's really giving you a greater depth of wisdom around how you show up and be the adult in the room. Now, so often we can struggle with that because we've learned certain, as I said, love languages from when we grew up or ancestral stuff. That means we're not actually, we don't resonate or don't have a picture in our mind of what that looks like, and so we can struggle with it. The 6th house is really good of, like, if you nail the 6th house, then you have healthier relationships because you're able to work together. You understand how you work, so you're not you're not deflecting that for other people to figure out because you understand it. And I really like how this is getting involved because it's sort of highlighting what I've already talked about in terms of the elevation of how you look at your unconscious spaces, how you work with your magic, because there's a real sense of commitment and wisdom coming in with Jupiter being in the 6th. It's retrograde at the moment, and so this can feel like a withdrawal of the Jupiterian energy, of feeling good about things, finding that expansion, opportunities, all of that. And just trust and know with the Jupiter retrograde, it's bringing all of those resources and that confidence and that wisdom internally rather than seeing it show up externally. It's really cultivating that energy and calling you to question things. And that's so important with the Jupiter retrograde. That you're not just taking things blindly, right? And I feel like this is linked into old dynamics, especially, you know, as I said, around the parental figures and the ancestors that have blocked your unconscious connection with the magic of your soul in a way that doesn't serve you anymore, right? We're moving into a new space, a new paradigm. And so that Jupiter energy is influencing what's going on with the 12th. And so it's making sure that you show up for yourself on a day-to-day and put in the work around understanding and working with those themes of the 12th. And so often our physical health is linked into our mental health as well. And I just feel like there's this building energy around co-creation and collaboration that is getting released, especially with that Mars over in the 8th. That you're heading into a space where you're able to collaborate and work in a healthier way. I'm finding I'm being called to say quite a lot about we're opening up more space to receive. And I think a lot of the blockages that we have is that we don't think we have value in order to receive right at our root. We may think it superficially on the surface, but there's some core stuff going on around being able to receive, and also the confidence to walking your own path. And I think that's a lot of it, because if we don't feel truly connected to that and we're externalizing how our needs are being met in the path that we're walking to the approval of the outside world, then we're sort of denying our capacity to receive given who we are in this very moment. So I can really see an energy of that coming through. And Mercury rules Gemini, and Mercury's over in Sagittarius, so this is what's called mutual reception. Mercury and Jupiter are in each other's realms, they're in the lands of each other, and so they are psychically hotlined to each other. And this essentially means the journey of each of them is going a lot smoother because they have all the wisdom and knowledge of the ruler of that sign. It's sort of, as I said, psychically connected to them. You'll often find when we have this energy that an action that Jupiter is taking is facilitating the journey of Mercury, and vice versa, that they're kind of very much interlinked. So they're governing the whole chart, the sense of wisdom and the sense of the information that we're collecting and perceiving and sharing of Mercury, and they're both retrograde. And this is one of the reasons why there's been quite some hardcore messages coming through in the challenge, because we are going, retrogrades do this, they make sure we slow down and reassess and reevaluate, and that can, you know, the powerful things to come through are the strong archetypal energies that we're then reworking with. So Mercury's over in your 12s, and this is great. This means figuring out what are those unconscious responses that aren't really working. How do I peel back those layers to get closer to the magic of my soul? How do I perceive those unconscious spaces and then operate from them? What information am I collecting? I can see a lot of downloads coming in from your higher self. That's then you're gonna see through the wisdom that you're gaining in your understanding of how you work in this 3D incarnation. So Mercury going over in the 12th is always this recalibration of those unconscious responses, and so this is really adding on to everything that's just come through, which I'm here for. So they're governing the whole chart. And the last little bit that I'm going to say, actually I might mention two other things because not all the cards have come out, that Mercury is trine Chiron in Aries at the time of this new moon. So this is in your 4th house, again, all those themes that I said where the North Node is, and Chiron's the master teacher, the wounded healer. Often wherever it is, it's sort of digging up archetypal wounds and where we find the wisdom in them, where we find the wisdom in the wound, right? And that we're able to then embody that, and through that frequency we kind of act as the teacher, because we've learnt some really powerful mechanisms of our human species. And so this is all going in your foundational space. So again, that North Node is helping you feel more confident in your path, in your autonomous path, and not necessarily worry so much about things of your foundational space, of like really allowing yourself to be in your very courageous power of that Aries energy. And that Chiron is going to be bringing up some wounds around that, will have been bringing up wounds because it's been there for a while, with your parental figures, with the ancestors, with that sense of safety and creativity, and not creative. Oh, interesting, I said creativity. That may be relevant for some of you. But with that Chiron trine with Mercury, I feel like you're going to, get a lot of downloads from your ancestors at home that is going to help reveal to you some unconscious responses that can be healed. I can see a lot of healthy conversations with people when you're at home about where are we at? About the struggles you may be finding and facing. Some of you, this might be getting a therapist that you're on Zoom to at home. And this is really getting you in alignment with that fire energy of your capacity to transform, for your instincts to no longer be tethered. Did we get a flipper? And just overall healthy conversations. And that could be linked into how you work with other people, relationship dynamics, resources. You may get some whispers from an ancestor, say, hey, I never actually got anything that I needed in that lifetime and I'm kind of stuck here. Can you do some work with me in this thing? So everyone can walk their own path. Now, I forgot to mention at the beginning, if you want I'm nearly done. If you want a deeper dive on this moon, and it's a 12th house moon, you get them once a year. They're pretty powerful. I've done a collective reading where I've broken down the astrology in way more detail, and I know I've done quite a bit in this one, but I go into much more detail in there. I also pulled collective tarot cards and channeled messages, so that's like the underlying energy for what shows up here. Yep. What else was I going to say? Oh my god, it's completely gone. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of independence. Oh, that was it. Well done. Thank you, brain. There were two things that I've been called to say that are linked into the astrology, and also what came through in the collective reading is the overall theme of this moon is for us to be comfortable with the path that we walk, right? And the way that it roams and the way that it moves, to have some faith in all of that and not externalize our expectations and how we should be to the outside world, of really allowing yourself to be very independent and confident in the way that you move through the world, right? That roaming Sagittarius energy that's very Jupiterian and very, generous of spirit. And that's really very powerful for us to feel that confidence within ourselves, even if we don't know where we're going and what's happening, like that sense of resonance that's coming through, as well as trust the process. And this is because of the retrogrades that are influencing this moon, and the Chiron energy, that there are challenges, there are going to be difficulties, and it doesn't feel heavy, it doesn't feel like it's anything we can't handle, but this is this kind of acknowledgement of like, this is how we're building the trust in the path of believing that path in every given moment, despite what may be going on. And just though, as I said, we're doing some really hardcore stuff because it's going to serve us in the long term. It means we need to do less work later on if we crack on with it now. Right, one more oracle card to come out and then we'll get on with the tarot. Speaking of oracle cards, you may have noticed all the cards that were already on deck at the beginning of the reading. I always pull them before doing any transit, and this is going to be the oracle reading that for this moon, and that's often where I tie everything together and then bring in those oracle cards, and the messages are always so powerful. It does blow my tiny little mind. Oh yeah, Venus. Thank you. So Venus is doing some cool stuff in your sign, Capricorn, and both Venus and the moon are out of bounds, and this means they're above the trajectory of the sun. So they're not between the earth and the sun, they're between the sun and all of space. And this means this is some really far out radical energy coming in with Venus and the moon. And I love that Venus is linking in your first house of like your embodiment of self with what's going to unfold in your unconscious spaces, of like really being able to connect the dots and find some really strong sense of value of self and love, and that integration of that is going to be pretty powerful. Ituela dishenia dishania le dinima utufala dishinima ot dishinima dila. Oh, this one's taken a while. I think it's because I saw a card at the beginning and it was winking very loudly at me, and they're like, wait, no other card's going to come out because that's the card that it's supposed to be. Right, I'm going to do that. Dishinia. The Allah, it just didn't flip out, that's all. It was halfway. Where are you? Yeah, and with a 12th house new moon, it's not necessarily that it's going on behind the scenes. So sometimes we don't necessarily notice it for a while because it's all cooking, right? But just know that it is happening. Right, now let's get into the tarot. So the intention of this moon is the Death card in reverse, the Temperance card, which I think this is only the second time it's come out, and the Six of Wands. So the intention of this moon is sort of this sense of this new cycle that you've done the work, because this is all about letting go of things that have an authority over you, and it's come in reverse. So it's saying that you've done that process, and now is the process of refinement, right? Of the alchemical process that is temperance. And this is all about the refinement of every part of yourself, and doing it in a way that is not the way you've done it before, because this water is going up into the cup, which is kind of implying doing things differently to the way that we expect things to be, as well as magic. And it's the Sagittarius card, so there's a real sense of the refinement now that a lot of things have fallen away from your unconscious spaces that have sort of governed you, right? As we all have. You're now in a cycle of refinement and elevation, of like bringing that higher self into the 3D plane, bringing that magic into being. And it's come with the Six of Wands, and this is the Victory card. And this figure had the instinct to go and do a thing that they just their instinct was in alignment to go and do it. They didn't do it for any reason other than that was their instinct, and that faced challenges, and it was a difficult thing to do. And now they're feeling really good about their journey, right? That the work that they've done, it's come to an end. There's cause for celebration. We have the victory wreath. But it also means, this card is also a reference to the outside world seeing what you've done and celebrating that, right? Because this figure's about to go, they're in a parade and they're about to go and have a massive banquet. Now, it doesn't have to be external, this energy, because this is all in the 12th, so it's all behind the scenes. It can very much be, but what I want to focus on is that this is you doing this process and then being in a state of celebration over it and feeling really good about where you're at and who you are and in command. Your instincts guided you in the right way. You've done the damn thing and you're celebrating and you're feeling really good. And in terms of how the outside world may pick up on that, we've got a lot of entanglement and a lot of nonsense. It's not nonsense, but it is nonsense in the unconscious spaces that we then like recreate through our actions with other people. This is why doing the inner work is so important, because it's not anybody else's responsibility but yours. And through this process, this is meaning that your relationship dynamics, your relationship with the outside world, Mars, with your home, people are going to be more in alignment with where your confidence and your victory and your integrity of the work that you've done, that you're not getting that because there's movement in this. It's not a closed unit. And I've just observed a lot of people just being in a closed loop of a trauma response, of a love language, of a certain thing and they know it. And there's a compulsion there that they're kind of stuck in. And this feels like moving way beyond that. And therefore the things around you, your environment around you, how you're behaving, how you're feeling within yourself, you're getting a resonance back from the outside world of being, of that of celebration and that of appreciation and recognition. Right, the challenge and how to work with it. So the challenge is the Page of Wands in reverse, and how to work with it is the Two of Swords, which I swear to source has been in, I think it's every reading. This is the Moon in Libra, and then we have the Virgo energy of the Hermit. So the challenge, right? And so this can be external as well as internal. It wants you to look at it. It wants you to work through it. It wants you to understand that this may come up, but it's not necessarily the reality of your environment and what's going on. It's just a roadblock. It's not permanent. So the Page of Wands, perfect for a Sagittarius linked Mercury retrograde moon. So this is you not having the connection, you not having the downloads, you not having the sort of really deep rooted awareness of the magic of your soul and what it's trying to tell you, right? This can be miscommunication, misdirection that has been guiding your instincts. Pages are very useful. They're not jaded. They've just got into the court. They're so excited. They want to talk to everyone. They want to learn everything. So there may be some resistance around that energy of just feeling quite, as I said, quite jaded, quite heavy, that it just feels like a quagmire in the unconscious realm. You're expecting the same, like, compulsive thoughts, intrusive thoughts, and just going on the same rodeo over and over and over and over and over again of there isn't new information coming in. There isn't alignment information coming in. So you may feel a bit frustrated when you're feeling these blocks, when you're feeling this resistance. And this is also not being able to see the opportunities, not being able to see the expansion in the unconscious realms. This can be blocked communication in those relationships that I talked about, and the frustration around that of like, why am I not being heard? Not being connected to your magic, not being able to act on it and find the opportunities to work with it. So there's lots going on there. How to work with it. Two of Swords and the Hermit. Now the Two of Swords in the upright is this figure has crossed the ocean. They've left their homeland and they're now at the new realm, and they're having to go inward to sort of reflect on their journey, reflect on who they are and who they want to be in the new realm, right? So it's about pausing and going inward and reflecting, but it's in the reverse. And so they're asking you to focus on the fact that you're already there, you already know who you are, and now's the chance to put that into perspective, into your framework, right? It's a bit delusional in the best possible way of kind of fake it till you make it. Right? Of the daily practice of, I am at the new realm. I know who I am, and this is going to unfold in alignment with that. So there's a level of confidence that they're asking you to step into of it's the moon in Libra, so it's your inner truth, your inner equilibrium, that they're saying focus on that being in the positive rather than the negative, right? That it is in alignment already. It's already happened. Isha linama linima ijali moyala ishinia. And Libra is your 10th house of your life purpose and your career. So there's something around the embodiment of it's already happened. You're already doing it. You're not blocked anymore. Itiala dishela duela. They're just sort of shaking my head right now. And I don't mean in like, oh, they're saying no. They're just sort of, feels like they're shaking out the cobwebs in the unconscious spaces. You might want to do a little meditation every day when you wake up or when you go to sleep, when the unconscious realm is very strong. It's focusing on this frequency of like, I am here where I am. I know who I am. I am. And it's come with the Hermit. And this is all about the inner wisdom and the cultivation of that. And the Hermit isn't bothered about what society thinks of it. It isn't seeking its answers in the external world. It is this awareness that all your truth is within you, right? And it's being guided by the star, which is a sense of this integration of the galactic and the earth energy. So there may be something around that of you coming to a higher acceptance that you are made up, you're a multifaceted being, you have galactic heritage, you are a galactic being, you are an earth being, and that is combined. And the power of the wisdom of when you unite both of those things. The Hermit card, Virgo, is your perspectives. So this is about realigning back to the truth of your perspectives that isn't distorted by the outside world, by the parents, by the ancestors, by relationships that have happened, by the resources that you have or have not got in your life. This is about getting back to you and the truth of yourself. There's also a stillness here with this card of, rather than the expectation of the sort of the instinct of the downloads and the communication, this is calling you to ground yourself, allow the stillness, give it time, trust the process for this to come through. Right, how to work with and amplify Pile 1. We have the Nine of Wands, the Queen of Cups, and the Chariot. So the Nine of Wands is, I like this vibe. This is really nice. This is all about, oh God, right, burnt out, exhausted, always on the defensive, always having to do everything yourself, just always worried that something's going to go wrong, but you can't rest, you can't close your eyes because it's all on you, right? So this is the pain in your unconscious spaces, right? It's very, very relevant for a lot of us, of just feeling exhausted, of just feeling like the struggle bus is real, but you cannot stop, you cannot breathe, you cannot rest. So this card is calling you to reflect on this, and also reflect where you are always on the defensive. Where can you shift that? Where can you move in a different way? Where can you look at it from a different perspective? That's the Jupiter Mercury energy coming through, of the wisdom that we're gaining and how we're reorientating how we observe information and engage with our environment through our perspectives and how we communicate. So there's a real sense here of reflecting on the truth of this within yourself, right? I'm not trying to deny that reality, but then it's calling you to be very loving and kind, very soft and gentle, supportive, nurturing, nourishing of the Queen of Cups, very maternal energy. She's also hella psychic. She can see so far into the future. Everything is very calm around her. She's got very clear vision, but she's not worried. She's in fact so serene. She is turning into the environment. You see her foot is turning into the color of the ocean around her. So there's a real sense this is yin energy, it's queen energy, nurturing, nourishing, bringing depth and nuance and awareness and calm and serenity to this, which is honestly, it's making me want to cry. They're moving the card around the throat chakra. So there's something around speaking these things, speaking both the pain and the love. You might want to do some fire and water work. Because Saturn's over in your 3rd house of communication, squaring this moon. As I said, I haven't talked about this, but it's your ruler, Saturn. It's in the collective reading, but it is adding on a level of maturity and capacity to build in the long term. So there's probably something deep within you, a deep nurturing energy within you that is wanting to come out. But I've really felt the need to talk about giving and receiving in this transit of your inner world, your unconscious spaces, to be open to receive that. And I'm thinking of Aries in the fourth. You might have had quite combative time growing up. Right? It's not for everyone. That's not always how the Aries in the fourth manifests, but that kind of like explosive energy that Aries can bring to the table, which has meant you then, perhaps for your parental figures, meant that you had to be on the defensive the whole time. Oh, I'm really about to start to cry. And this whole thing with the Chariot, because this is the Cancer card, is like really allowing a very, very powerful maternal energy to come through to help soothe this within you. And for some of you, that Nine of Wands is about being on the defensive because of the danger of the unconscious realm. Right? I certainly speak from experience of that. My mind and the thoughts and the anxiety, depression has been, until recently, predominantly pretty relentless. I mean, she's still a scary... She's still capable of like playing mega trickster tricks on me, where I feel like I've always got to be on the defensive, but I've been working through that myself. I'm less in conflict mode, and honestly, the level of serenity that comes through when you step into that, whoo, powerful. I've like nothing is your enemy at all. And then with the Chariot, right? So before I get into the Cancer energy, this is about knowing that every experience you've had has served as a resource to propel you moving forwards. But the trick with the Chariot is not to try and control where you're headed and what you're doing, right? There are no reins. You're being guided by the two sphinxes, right? That represent the yin and the yang, and the pillars on the high priestess. This sense of the balance between the material and the metaphysical world, right? And you're being pulled forward. This is also the other victory card. So there's this sense of movement, there's this sense of resonance of understanding the journey that you have been on, but you are moving into a new space. Cancer for you, Itoela, is in your seventh house of the other. So there may be something around through the actions that you're taking with the other, be that clients, friends, lover, source, is going to be showing you, one, what are your impulses to take action, that Mars energy, that are highlighting the wounds, and two, I feel that one, you're going to see the growth and the expansion through your actions with the other, as well as the actions of the other towards you, to let you know of the truth of the reality and the progress of your journey. And that can be sourced just showing up in some really cool ways. But overall, it is saying there's momentum moving forwards. Keep moving. Be in awareness of all the resources around you, even if some of them have been a bit scary throughout your lifetime. Know that you are, the way through this is not to try and control the process at all, and try and come into a state of alignment within yourself where it is the joy of the ride rather than the end result. Right, what was at the bottom of the deck? We got two. King of Cups, Nine of Pentacles. Love this. So you've got the King and the Queen of Cups. You being, because of the shift that's happening in your unconscious spaces, you are going to be able to be in a stronger navigation around your emotions, right? The King of Cups is floating in the eye of the storm and isn't bothered, right? It's harnessing its emotional body, its intuition, and is able to act on it from a very mature, sovereign place, right? Not being governed by other response mechanisms from other people, right? Really love this from the 12th, right? Especially also the wounds from the 4th and the 8th of like, you're no longer being governed by those. There's a real sense of maturity that's coming in, that's allowing you to feel your emotions and work with them and create from them, and trust in your intuition as well. And with the Nine of Pentacles, right, she's been showing up a lot as well. Holistic life, happy home, happy work, right? And being confident to make the right decisions for yourself, right? That serve this energy rather than poor impulse control or prioritizing everything else in your life other than yourself and your own journey and your own happiness. So this is really powerful for 12th house unconscious responses that have blocked this capacity to a certain extent. And now this new moon and the unfolding it is getting you in your power. Ooh, so what's the intention of this Mercury retrograde? For you to feel stable and safe and powerful in this incarnation, for you to keep doing the damn thing from a place of wisdom and strength, of just feeling very secure, very safe, and being able to put things into practice and manifest through your actions in the material world. By releasing yourself of limiting beliefs in the unconscious space, as well as getting the downloads that you need that you can then implement into the 3D. In a practical way. What's the challenge? King of Swords in reverse, right? This sense of clarity, this vision, this perspective, right? The truth of it all and being able to implement it. So restrictions around this clarity, this sense of cool, calm and connected, this metamorphosis of your perspectives and how to put that into action from a place of sovereignty and maturity, right? So this is the challenge that this Mercury retrograde is bringing up, is where you feel restricted around this, where you felt your power drained, where you felt your perspectives weren't clear or true and were in fact distorted from those unconscious responses, that you weren't able to act on the inspiration that you get from the magic of your soul and put that into a perspective and navigate that out in the world. Ooh, how to work. So just be mindful that this is the challenge. It's not there forever. It's helping you work through it. So when you're feeling blocked, when you're feeling stuck, you're feeling when you're feeling in the King of Swords, I want you to make peace with it. Be loving and kind to yourself. Realize that with this pause, right, with this trusting in the process, and not fighting it and not being shamed over it, you can let it move through you and it's going to reveal something underneath when it passes. How to work with this retrograde. 5 of Pentacles in reverse. Get out of a scarcity mindset. Get out of a fear mindset that you never have the support. You're not supported by source or the outside world. You do not have the resources you need. You're cold, you're disconnected. There isn't this sense of deep, meaningful integration and abundance in the 3D realm. It's the opposite. It's calling you to focus on that this is not a reality that you are existing in. It may be showing up, but it is not the truth. It is the illusions. It's the mirage. So it's calling you, focus on this. Do a daily practice of envisaging the release of the burden of the 5 of Pentacles. You need to focus on, even if things are feeling scarcity, or if you're not feeling you're getting the support, know you have all the inner resources within you to then manifest that out in the world. Bottom of the deck for the Mercury retrograde, the Fool. Similar energy to that 5 of Pentacles. Operate from the heart space, right? This is, you are embarking on a new journey, right? A new voyage of discovery. It's no longer scary. It's no longer worrisome. The Fool isn't in a fear mindset. It sees everything, every experience, the good, the bad, the beautiful and the ugly, as the pure curiosity and awe of existence, right? It operates from the heart. It is leaping into a new reality and it's not worried whether that will appear or not. It knows, right? Big, fresh, lovely energy coming in with that Mercury retrograde. And I love that for the lightness of being of the unconscious realms. Right, let's read these in the order that I shuffled them in. I'd forgotten this was the card. Right, first up is from Rainbow Brainskull. Currently my new favorite oracle deck. Big fan, big fan. Love the art, love the bluntness on the card, and then the sweetness in the book. Evolve into a non-complainer. Now that is just bringing up that 5 of Pentacles, the Fool. Also this vibe, because this figure, I should imagine, is moaning quite a lot, probably for good reason. With a challenge again, that sort of the frustration over the blockages, the complaining about it. Yeah, love this. I mean, we all need to take this on board, don't we? That's so interesting. I was thinking about that. I was going to bring it into the Gemini moon. How so often our mind points out the negative, right? I mean, this is an obvious thing. I'm sure we've all thought it, but we spend so little time saying the positive. And it's like, how many bad reviews, how we're so inclined to leave a bad review and not a good one, right? So I want you to start leaving good reviews for yourself all the time. I'm going to do it myself. The highest vibration one can achieve is to be okay with any outcome, like the monk from all those stories would often say after any bad thing happened. So that's moving out of conflict, right? Moving out of that that 9 of Wands. You know, I often talk on this channel, I'm sure you've heard me say it many times, regulars. Healthiest way to move through this world is without assumptions or expectations. And speaking of which, those are 2 of the 4 agreements. Ituela, I believe. I think actually they may be all wrapped into one. This is a very mercurial deck. This was given to me by a Gemini rising. The book that it's based on was written by a Virgo sun. I always like to bring it out when Mercury's being a boss. So don't take anything personally. Oh, struggled to say that. Release self-judgment, right? Need to release self-judgment of not getting the words right immediately. Even the opinions you have about yourself are not necessarily true. Hello, the unconscious realms of the 12th house. Therefore, you don't need to take whatever you hear in your own mind personally. It's interesting that that's come up as I was mentioning intrusive thoughts and my own journey with that, right? I love it when that happens, it's all connected, it's all in alignment. So practice this. It's going to really help the liberation of your unconscious realms by you are perfect in every way right now in this moment. You don't have to achieve anything. You don't have to do anything. You are loved and you are a wonder of the universe. It's so hard for us to genuinely embody that. Practice. All it is practice. So this was the card that half came out, that winked at me very loudly, and then I carried on, and then we didn't get a card come out at all. So this is the crossing. This is from the Shaman's Dream Oracle. Rite of passage, initiation. You have come to stand on one side of the river. The opposite bank leads into the darkness of the eternal cave, where the old dies and then is born again. This is a place where time is forgotten, and the seasons cease their dance and stand still, as if in a temporary repose. You must cross the river now, honouring and respecting this transition, for it's time to say goodbye to your old ways of navigating your world. Don't be afraid. You've come to the edge of the river because you're ready. You're ready to let go of what doesn't serve you, and all the ways in which you've kept yourself from truly living. Intimacy requires vulnerability and truth. Can you strip away the masks and the barriers of false strength to discover what you're really made of? I mean, all these words are dinging all of those fire signs. This is wild. Step into the boat waiting for you. Let it carry you into the cave. Hello, the unconscious realms, where the shadows are waiting to be illuminated. So you've got, I mean, this is locked in for the next 6 months, but you do have the sun moving through the 12th. So until the 21st of December, when the sun's in the 12th, it is shining a light in on all of that. So this is a great time to really implement everything in this that's then going to serve you over the next 6 months. Carrying you into the cave where the shadows are waiting to be illuminated, so you can be born again into the world without denial or artifice. Making the crossing is a beautiful, powerful act of the highest love. Whoo, Capricorn. I just felt cool to look at the bottom of the deck of the Rainbow Brainskull, and it's pretty cool. I mean, I'd spend hours doing these readings. I really would. I love it so much. World Maker is only job in the final future. There will always be the need for the vast and unique realm of your imagination. We love originals. Share your vast inner world. It's the one thing that can never be automated. I love that as the final message, because it's saying, yeah, okay, there's some hardcore stuff to do, but the trick is bringing the magic of your soul, right, your world maker, how you operate in the world from the truth of yourself, right? You are your higher self. We're not actually separate. We just sometimes need to separate those things to like take on board the authority. That at the root of this is your ability to move through the world and build from who you are, right? Itiala di shini moela tiene, and that's such a beautiful energy. And focus on that. Get creative, get playful, find the joy in things. As always, Capricorn. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I certainly did. Big energy coming in. If you want a personal reading, if you want to deep dive further on this or anything else, my brain has gone completely blank. Like the upcoming nodal shift, anything, it doesn't have to be astrology based. I'm not sounding particularly confident right now, but I am. Absolutely love doing personal readings. They are always wild. The energy that comes through them is so... it blows my tiny little mind, and I'm so grateful to be a vessel for it. Anyway, my details are everywhere. You can book through my website or email me directly, and we can do it via PayPal that way. Be good to yourself, Capricorn. Be good to those around you. Safe travels. Trust the process, and be well until we meet again.